Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's Loud and Proud Orlando, Monday, April 25th, 8:39 p.m. Thank you so much for being live. We're actually live, live and breathing. And obviously, some hurt news, obviously, hurtful news. Orlando City, it's the end of the world. Let's all cry. And oh my God, I'm so disappointed. Throw the season away. Let's just throw it in the garbage. Let's just move away. Let's go and turn into Rowdies fans. I'm so disappointed this is happening. Hurt is a loss that hurt a lot. Obviously, I think every single person. You don't really have to be part of the club to feel that way, but you can definitely see shock in a lot of people's faces. Trust me, I was in the press box, and a lot of my colleagues, we weren't as we were shocked because we saw a team that was progressively playing very well, that had a lot of bright spots and a lot of good things happening, and then we saw a dive, a complete dive, like a cliff dive. This Red Bulls game, I take it as that, a bad day at the office, and obviously disappointing for everybody. I think in the post press conference, Oscar Pareja acknowledged that it was, it's his responsibility, and he also Mauricio Pereira, as a captain, said, we won three in a row before this defeat. Obviously, it hurts the most when it's at home. It hurts the most. No team in the MLS wants to drop points at home, right? And so, people were upset, and I think everybody's entitled of being upset about it. But again, these colors, a lot of people like to say these colors don't run, right? These colors don't run, right? I mean, these colors don't run. So we have to turn the page, no professional, and I'm wearing one of the most historic clubs in South America, Santos de Brasil. I want to say hello to Victor Yan as well. He's probably watching the show. No team in the world, no professional soccer player in the world goes to a game to lose. There's many factors that could contribute to that. And also there's a good tactics of the rival team, the team that they're facing. And I think New York Red Bulls played, maybe they were in the fanciest team. Trust me, Charlotte is probably 10 times fancier than the Red Bulls are. We will talk about that later. But I believe that they did everything since the get-go to make Orlando uncomfortable, like the high press. And I think those are things that right now, Orlando's third in the East still, right? We're not like seventh. We're not like bottom of the league. We're not like fourth. We're third. And with a possibility, we definitely, once we get the 3 points against Charlotte, hopefully, we go back to the, and then what are people going to do if Orlando beats Charlotte? Oh, great. Oh, that's great. You know, I love the team now. Forever a Lion. Forever, right? And when they lose, we're gonna be all like, I hate everything. Let's go and throw it away, and I hate everything, right? Like my 4-year-old, and I saw that, and honestly, this is the first time I actually experienced that. And this goes from Facebook, on Twitter, this goes on Instagram. I mean, it was insane. If I was the parent of one of those players, I'll be like, yo, really? You're third. Like, and either way, tough loss. People deserve to be upset. I think we're going to talk about it. We're going to dive into it. We're going to then talk about Charlotte. Then we're going to talk about Gaston Gonzalez as well. He had a really terrible injury, season ending. We're going to see what's happening with this player. And then obviously we'll talk about OCB, which OCB played. It was a tough game for OCB, but they overcame it. And also we're going to talk about the youth national team They play against Slovenia, the youth 15s, and they tied with a academy product. And I want to say hello to also Campagnaro is the keeper. He plays in Orlando City Academy, and he was a starter for the youth 15s, and they tied against Slovenia in this tournament. So we're going to talk about all of that and more. Dave, how are you, my friend?
Happy Monday. Thank you, Luis. My sentiments are the same as yours. It was just a bad day at the office this past weekend. And like our captain said, the club won the last three games going into this one. On Wednesday, people were ripping their shirts and,
Right.
chest beating. If you guys watched the reaction video from our friends at Orlando City Fan TV, you would have thought these guys were coming back from war. The way these guys were expressing themselves, like they just went to Afghanistan and won the war by themselves. And then same people on Sunday were cutting their veins in this stress. Friends, that's it's a season, it's 34 games. We're gonna lose a bunch of games. Every team in the world, doesn't matter the league, they're gonna lose games and badly. Um, Personally, I was just like everybody else. I was angry. I was disgusted at the fact that this bogey team keeps getting the best out of us away and at home. And it's the first time, Luis, in a very long time that we are left with no goals. That's another one, especially at home. Like I said, we had great opportunities that we did not complete it. Oscar Pareja said that the responsibility starts and ends with the manager. He basically is accepting that what happened is his fault.
Yep.
And that's all you can do. Now, I want to go into the deep end here with this, Luis, and I would like to get your opinion on this. A lot of people on social media were saying if we lose against Charlotte, he needs to go, meaning Oscar Pareja. The other thing was that we need to find a better manager. That was the other thing that I heard. Evidently, a lot of people forget that with Adrian Heath, we did the same. And I say we, because I'm going to talk about the collective. We said, this guy is not going to get us anywhere. So we fired him. A guy that had been here for 6.5 years, a guy that chose the color purple for our club colors, the guy that helped design the stadium, the guy that lifted trophies in this city, a guy that is intertwined with who we are as a club. We fired him. Okay, so we fired him, and then we brought in on his way out. People had to throw the last second insult saying, "You're just a USL coach." Then we bring Jason Christ, who you won an MLS Cup in MLS 1.0, which not to discount the trophies of that era, but I'm sorry, that's not the same league that it is to MLS. Is not the same league that it is today as it was then. So we bring him in after having the worst season possible with New York City. Till this day, New York City's worst season was under Jason Christ. And for 2 seasons, if you want to look at the half of 2016, 2017, and the half that he was here in 2018, he sank us into a situation where we're just recovering from. And we ended up firing this man after he just put us in a deep hole. Then, for those that were calling Adrian Heath just a USL coach, then we went and actually got a USL coach in James O'Connor, who I respect a lot as a player, but he was not the person that we needed.
Right.
And he failed to win back-to-back games. He failed to get us to the playoffs. He failed to make us go in deep cup runs and all that. And at the end of the day, we let him go, and we brought this gentleman that you see on the screen. But for those of the fans that are listening, it's Oscar Pareja. So we bring this gentleman in, and with the same team that James O'Connor had, we make playoffs. And we go to a final in a tournament that no one said that we had a chance, Luis. We had no chance. And unfortunately, the cards did not show us winning that night. And last, uh, Oscar Pareja. If you went to the event Pints with Pareja, here's a man that admitted his weaknesses. Here's a man that said, whatever happens, I'm gonna give 100% of me. And also, he asked for patience as this is a new team with a lot of new players, a lot of young players, a lot of players learning to play with each other. Like Luis said, we are third in the East, tied in points with second place. The only difference why we're third behind Red Bulls is on goal differential. Had we won, we would have been first. And not only that, we're still in contention for Open Cup. And you know, it was just a bad game. And if we're going to judge everything by one loss, every team in the universe
Well,
would be a loser.
you know, fans have obviously, and this was a lot of there's a little bit of a controversy. You know, fans were leaving in minute 88. You know, and I saw it. A lot of my colleagues saw it from the press box, and they were leaving minute 88. Um, you know, and some colleagues showed a displeasure on Twitter, and they said, you know, why are you leaving? You know, and then people are saying, you know, I spend my hard-earned money on an inflated market, you know, to watch crappy level soccer like this, you know, and people want to leave early, right? And so that's what the people say, right? And I completely disagree. You know, I personally, I do agree. You know, people, number one, people are entitled to do whatever they want, right? They have the entitled to do whatever they want. If they need to leave early, they want to leave early. You know, it's fine. But personally, I think it's cultural, and it kind of shows. It kind of show like this type of scenario wouldn't happen in like in another country. That soccer is the number one sport. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, and I think if we want to get to that level, and you know, and we're gonna judge, we're gonna be. It's either we create a soccer culture and win titles at some point, which it takes time for some teams. You know, again, Orlando is not a big market. It's you know it's a family destination, right? I mean, I think this is wholeheartedly the truth. But if you judge the performances of this club recently in the recent years since that man took over, compared to the Magic, compared to the Solar Bears, compared to the Orlando Predators, hello to David Siegel, right? If you compared, it's above. So tremendous what Orlando has become as a franchise, as a team. So, you know, I understand we have a lot of young people, right? A lot of people that maybe is their first season watching the MLS, maybe is the first time, you know, watching Orlando City in the stadium, right? And obviously they're judging based on, you know, they like college football, they like basketball, they like maybe lacrosse, right? And you know, it's you know it's win or lose, no ties, right? And you cannot do that in the sport of soccer. Even though there's a rule that has been implemented for OCB, so there's no ties. But that's another thing. That's another discussion. But usually that doesn't happen. You know, there are ties in soccer. There are bad days in the office in soccer, but you don't see. You know, there's famous teams in the world, teams with a lot of history in soccer culture. Bring, for example, cute, easy example, Liverpool. You don't see their fans walking out minute 88. Arsenal, that maybe it's not my favorite, but you know they've had probably one of the worst 10 years in soccer in the British League, in the Premier League, but they're still there, right? So we need to understand that, you know, this type of performances sometimes they do occur, and the way players move forward is by tackling the next task and just go for the win in the next game. So In my opinion, this is nothing to be, completely exaggerated, just like the title says. Like it's the end of the world, right? So we're still breathing, we're still alive. The club's still doing great. There are movements happening. We have a coach that actually has a system. We have players that actually, are keen to answer questions and going to the press conferences after a tough loss. They're willing to put their souls in their craft,
No, absolutely. And if you
right?
guys remember, Luis, when we used to lose with Jason Christ, he will always say, "Oh, there was a lots of positives." Oscar Pareja did not do that. Oscar Pareja said,
No,
"Hey,
there was no positives.
there was no positive. It's on me." And I want to quote myself here for a second. This is on response uh, to a to a tweet that our Orlando City fan said, "If they lose to Charlotte, Papi has to go." Okay, fair enough. Obviously, this person doesn't know what he's talking about, because my response was as follows: and be replaced by who? Were you in a coma in 2016 to 2019? Football is not for those that want to be easily rewarded or for the impatient. When asking to fire someone, please name three suitable replacements. Never let a win get to your head and a loss to your heart, which is something that Ricardo Moreira always says, for those of us who have met the man personally. And I have made that my mantra as well. The fact of the matter is, like, people are like, oh, let's fire this guy. Okay, sure. Who is going to replace it? Because I'm going to be honest with you. We're owned by billionaires. So if we are going to fire Oscar Pareja, who is not going to last more than 30 seconds unemployed in MLS, I guarantee you that. Who are we going to replace? Oh, the one, Caleb Porter. Caleb Porter turned us down. You guys forget that the reason why James O'Connor was hired was because Caleb Porter turned us down, and not
Oh,
only that, here's a guy that is known to be walking away from teams when things don't go his way. Right now, Columbus is a mess. Yes, they won a championship 2 years ago, but the fact of the matter is that I just don't think that's an improvement to go for another MLS manager. And I'm gonna give you the one that to me blows me away, Luis. And that's Miami. When Miami fired their manager, and where's that manager right now? That manager is about to take Uruguay to the World Cup. That man is about to manage Facundo Torres into a World Cup. Miami fired that guy for Phil. Phil, I am David Beckham's buddy. That's Phil Neville. That's the guy that they fired. That they fired. This is the thing. We can't. And that's a fantastic manager. And his name escapes my mind right now. The guy that used to be in Miami, Luis, that is in Uruguay right now.
oh, Diego Alonso.
Diego Alonso, thank you.
Diego
Diego Alonso is a
Alonso, yeah.
fantastic manager. A fantastic man. Diego Alonso got to an Uruguay that was not making the top four in South America and got them over the hump to automatic uh, uh, qualification. I'm sorry, guys. If we're gonna fire Oscar Pareja tomorrow, who is gonna take it within reason? Because I know people throw crazy names out there.
Yeah,
Uh, who
we,
are
we
they gonna bring? Because
it's
the fact of the matter is that this is the first year where we have money. We invested $22 million into the staff, into the players. The Gaston Gonzalez situation, we're gonna talk about that because I talked to a source from the
right.
club. I talked to my sources in Argentina. This is tragic altogether. Nobody predicted something like that. My friends, we lost one game.
Right.
One
And
game, Luis.
and this is the thing. Again, we're hosting a World Cup in 2026. We want Orlando to be one of the host cities. You know, this is my personal opinion. That it doesn't obviously this is not the outlets opinion. It's my personal. Luis Carlos Pineda. You can come look for me if you want. I mean, it's my opinion, but I think that we need to be better too. I mean, these colors don't run, right? These colors don't run. We need to have that mentality in a way. I was watching the game of Inter Miami in the press box against Atlanta, right? Probably the two worst teams, right now, and in the East, and
I
and
think New
you
England is probably will like to have a word with you.
and and the fans were cheering from minute one, and they stay till every single minute. And again, I'm never been to that stadium, and I don't really have any. I want to go. I'm Orlando through and through, and I support the organization, and the people that work there are extremely amazing. I have nothing but good things to say about them. And obviously, when you put so much into the logistics of just turning on the lights and having a game of soccer, obviously no fan wants to see their team lose 3-0 at home, and I totally understand that. But you know we and again, and I think we're going to touch on this, and then we're going to analyze the actual soccer aspect, but I think we're going to touch on this now. OCB, I mean, there was no one there, you know and I think, Dave, there was, I think, a miscommunication that you wanted to bring out. I mean,
No, absolutely.
there was no one there for OCB.
Yes, I spoke with my ticket rep today. Obviously, I called him about buying tickets for the Open Cup game, which we will talk about that later. But he asked me, hey, how was the game Sunday, whatever, and I told him, I said, hey, I was very disappointed because the place where I park flat out told me that they were only open for the main event for Orlando City, and that they were going to like lock the parking lot after the game. So I went to security and I said, hey, I'm just gonna go move my vehicle parking in the street, and then I'm gonna come back. And they're like, nope, if you leave the building, you can't come back. So it's a catch 22. And at that time, I was already tired, angry, like everybody else, about the situation with how the game ended. And I left and I went home and I watched it on TV. By the way, fantastic performance from the boys,
Yeah.
especially Javier Otero, who, in my
Oof,
opinion, is going to be a menace in MLS.
for sure.
Um, the so Other people were telling me, hey, I did not know. I live far. I couldn't stay that late because there was basically an hour and 30 minutes in between the end of one game and the other, for obvious reasons. Obviously, players have to vacate the locker room, so for the other two teams to come in. And there were people that were like, hey, I would have loved to stay, but I was there with my son or my daughter, and there was no food because they closed all the venues for you to get food and drink inside the stadium. So I had to go somewhere. So they left. So the club admits that it was a fantastic idea that was poorly coordinated, in the sense that obviously they have no control of where people park. This is from my ticket rep, that they forgot that people park in different areas, and those areas are not necessarily open 24/7. So in the future, they're gonna try to do this event again. Let the fans know with anticipation. Remind people during the game, because I was told by our friend Gavin there was an announcement very, very early on where there was barely any people inside the stadium, and one very, very, very late after the game had ended, and 75% of the people had already left. And again, once you walk out, you can come back in.
Right.
So that's the situation with that. And again, our club is learning from his mistakes, and that's
Right.
another thing with Jared and his staff. As fans, let's give him the opportunity to correct problems, please, because we are very quick to get on the Twitter and then
Right.
talk trash about the front office without giving them the
Right.
opportunity to fix the problem.
And another thing is, again, 2026 is coming up, and what this club has been trying to do, that it differentiates from any other brand of sports in the state of Florida, in my opinion, is that Orlando City Soccer has been organic from the get-go, from its inception as a club in USL. The support, the fandom, the front office, The media communications have been pretty much people working hand in hand together for the betterment of the club. It translated into MLS. It continue. This club is trying to bring a soccer culture in the city, a culture. In order to bring a culture, it takes time. We cannot expect to be Chelsea by the snap of our fingers. I would love to for Orlando to be like Chelsea. Trust me. And we have the opportunity to get to that point. But unfortunately, it takes time, right? But we're making the right moves. And I think that we need to definitely see it, the bigger picture, the bigger picture of what's to come, right? And so I think those little things when it came to, just talking about, oh, I'm not watching this, I'm not paying for this, oh, right, I'm paying for this. Like if this is Circus du Soleil, right? Or like this is like, High LA, right? No, this is a soccer. Each player on the pitch had to go through hard work training for hours, and unfortunately, nothing worked. And now talking about the actual soccer aspect of it, we're gonna discuss right now. This is the lineup that started the game. It was a 4-2-3-1, with Araujo and Junior Urso as the mid. A backline consisting of Ruan, Rodrigo, Jensen, and obviously Joao Moutinho. Three right here below Erjan Carr, that was the nine. Facundo Torres, left wing. Then you got Mauricio right behind as a number 10, right behind Kara. And then Alexandre Pato as right winger. On the other side, I always said, and I always referred to these two players in past episodes, and then I'll give the mic to Dave. Caceres Jr., the Venezuelan international. What a player. He always has played against Orlando. Orlando has lost 3 games. New York is one of the few teams that Pareja has not been able to beat. So, but he has been consistent in all those games. This was probably an opportunity for us to put the stop on him. But unfortunately, we probably overlooked him. It is already seen to go more towards Fernandez or Amaya. Another player that doesn't really like Orlando, it's Lewis Morgan. And you guys will say, but why, Lewis? Why? The reason is he's an Inter Miami player at heart. That's the reason why he celebrated going 1, 2, 3 and kiss his hand. Because he still feels, I'm going to go and beat Orlando. I mean, those type of things happen in the sport, right? You can go move to Barcelona, but if you're playing against, your former team, you still have some sort of connection, right? Those are things. Morgan had a hell of a game. I think he has him and Cáceres, to me, were the best two for New York, and no one can contain them. It was just bad game, and then the handball, right? I guess
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about the handball too. So
Bad decision.
what do I take from this game? First and foremost, Orlando was, in my opinion, slowly trying to dominate possession by using their passing. You can tell by seeing the stats in the first half. Orlando had 0 shots on goal in the first half, and then only 3 shots on goal during 90 minutes. That's something that should never happen again, obviously. And then, even though there was a lot of passing, a lot of trying to create, there was nothing created on the wings, nothing being created on the flanks, nothing whatsoever. And it was just kind of, their play was just slow and sloppy. Meanwhile, Red Bulls was I wouldn't say dominating. I would say they're playing overly physical on purpose because they know they're trying to control the tempo of the game. So they're playing overly physical to put him on check, to slap him on the wrist and say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to beat you in your actual stadium. Watch out, right? And started from minute one. They stepped also, I think the ref let the game play, and the first yellow card New York had was probably after the minute 30, after the 35th minute. New York had a yellow card. Before that, Ruan got his face stepped on, Rodrigo Schlegel got elbowed by the same player. No yellow, right? And so those little aggressive moves, where I come from, it's like, they're trying to play rough because they're trying to say, hey, I'm here, we're going to beat you. It's kind of like trying to check on you type of thing, just kind of hit you in the head a little bit, right? And New York just kept gaining momentum, and just the Lions, unfortunately, to me, they could not cope with the press whatsoever. They couldn't handle the press that they were doing. New York players were constantly hassling, recouping the ball from Orlando, and then when Orlando had the ball, unfortunately, the passes weren't sinking, and it was creating turnovers, in which it will create eventually transition plays for New York to go on the attack. And I think this is something that, like Pareja said, he's gonna have to take it, back to the drawing board and just see, what happened, right? And it was good to see Jack Lynn for sure. It was his first time in the MLS, minute 88. Minute 88, and then Thomas Williams, which I mean, what a future that young man has. Dave, what were some of the things that you noticed in this game that you probably say, hey, these are things that should not happen again?
Well, nothing to add, Luis, because you have said it all. It was just a bad performance. One of the I remember talking to Fernando Darguila, who was the manager for Orlando City B a few years back when we were in USL League One, and he told me that one of the main things that you have to do when you are a visiting team is you gotta get the crowd out of it. How do you do that? You score a ton of goals and you shut them up, and that's exactly what happened. After the second goal, our fans were lethargic because they know that coming back from two goals is very difficult. And I'm gonna keep this short because I wanna hear the comments from our fans. But at the end of the day, I felt that the goals were cheap. First goal, it was a toe poke on top of the box, criminal defending. The second one, even though Pedro had a save, the fact of the matter is that the luck of the game, the ball just bounces back immediately into the path of the attacking player. Boom, 2-0. And the penalty, in my opinion, should have never been because there was no ill intent from Rodrigo Schlegel to use his hand to deviate the ball. I mean, he's completely looking the other way. The player basically just hits the ball on purpose to the hand, and FIFA rules already have determined. But I guess because we're always playing with the old rules and all this other crap that always happens, that pro always finds a way to justify the unjustifiable. You if you purposely direct the ball to a player that has no idea, like for example, if you are supporting yourself with your hand on the ground, if somebody kicks the ball to your hand, that's not a handball because you're just supporting your weight, trying to get up or whatnot. So they're trying to avoid this dirty play, basically what that is. About the man, about the ref, you know what? I mean, we complain day week in, week out. I believe the game against Miami and Atlanta had some whoppers this past weekend.
Yeah,
Again, you're talking about a league that advertises their mess ups. That has a sponsor that is making money out of making fun of itself. Nowhere else in the world do you see something outrageous like that. So we're gonna leave it at that. What are the bridges? A new week, new things.
correct.
Well, let's go ahead and see what our fans are talking about.
Let's see. Victor Rivera says, seems they have an issue with aggressive teams and they get frustrated. Instead of doing their thing, they let it go to them. They let it get to them.
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I think this is something that Oscar needs to take notes, and I'm sure typically, you know, how do you combat high press? It's just by you also being physically present.
Mm-hmm.
Not letting yourself beat them. Let them beat you to the punch, right?
Yeah.
You have to also be, show them that you're there. This is your home turf, and you're going to defend it, right? So
Absolutely.
I just think that that's something that I'm sure Oscar's gonna take a look into that, and I'm sure they'll jot it down for the next game. Jim D, they need to reverse the order OCB play before OC. That
I
way,
agree.
people show up halfway to the OCB match. You don't see the headlining band play first. I think that's a great observation,
Hmm.
and I think
A lot of people said that.
I agree. I agree. Taylor Cool. I also don't think Orlando has a chance to host a World Cup with a lack of a major stadium. Uh,
Got to
Um,
comment on that, Taylor. We hosted in 1994
yeah,
with using the Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl. Yeah,
That's the intended stadium. The state and the federal government already have promised money for renovations if we are selected as a city. Right now, our the team that the Orange County and the city of Orlando have put together to bring the World Cup to us in 2026 is a star-studded group headlining. That group is Kaká and our mayor Buddy Dyer, who's an Orlando
but it,
City fan. You know, he
yeah,
goes to the
definitely.
games all the time. He's not one of those
Yeah,
guys that shows up every night. That guy goes to 95% of them. And the other thing is that we are in better condition than cities, let's say like Atlanta. FIFA is not going to play in an indoor NFL stadium. I can tell you that right now, and that bothers them. Oh, we bring 75,000. It doesn't matter. You know, it's the facility, is the surface, is the amount of hotel rooms that you can have. We're a city built for hosting events, and
exactly.
for that reason alone, we're still one of the good ones. And as your response, my friend, so that's that.
All right, Colin Garby, how you doing, my friend? It says I love Pareja and he needs to stay. However, we've lost 3 out of 4 home games so far, and that is pretty damaging if we want to host in the playoffs. I agree.
That's very true.
I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I
Can't
agree,
deny that.
and I can't really deny that. I mean, you gotta win everything at home, in my opinion, if you want to win the league, right?
Hmm.
And well, as much as you can. So I think this should be, I think they're gonna look into this, I'm sure, and try to, they're gonna have to beat Charlotte, right? I think it's a must win, because you cannot keep losing at home and then winning away.
Right, right.
Yeah, I mean, you can still go through the playoffs by winning a lot of away games, but what are your chances, right? I mean, you're playing in
You
front of
gotta
your home,
motivate your people.
right? You gotta play in front of your home crowd, right?
Hmm.
And the home crowd needs to cheer from minute 1 till minute 90. Nijay Thompson, people want to host a World Cup. People want to both support, but then do this, right? Yeah, makes sense. I just think it's growing. It's a soccer culture in Orlando. I think Orlando is becoming a soccer city, and Orlando City has a huge part of this, and this goes from USL days.
Hmm.
A lot of people, and again, I live in Orlando. I live in Orlando, and I understand how it goes. There are a lot of people in Orlando. They honestly they have no affiliation to any sort of club. You see like Red Wings, fans, and you have also Lakers fans, and you have Red Bulls fans. I saw some Red Bull people that lived in Orlando, because they follow the MLS before Orlando was incepted, and is unfortunately it's like that, and not, but Orlando, since the USL's inception, has built starting to build a culture, a soccer culture, and little by little it's growing and growing and growing, and it's getting into places like St. Cloud, where there was no soccer before, places like Bithlo, like Christmas, Florida, right? Places like Lake Mary, you know and so like Claremont, Groveland, Mascati. There you go. I mean, look, I know about these cities, and now they got fans that maybe it's the second season watching the sport, but this is thanks to having a good brand in the city that represents them well. See, and so and I commend them for that. So Victor Rivera, I think he has been the best manager for this team. I'm talking about Oscar Pareja compared to the others. I know people love Inchi, but that is the past, and we need to look forward. And look what Inchi has accomplished with Minnesota, right? And so I think,
Yeah, playoffs year three, constant playoff team, final in Open Cup, and and I understand that, and I understand. I'm gonna preface this by saying I understand that a lot of people don't have the attachment that the old timers like myself have for Inchi. I get it, I understand
right,
it,
definitely.
and I respect that. But at the same time, he has proven that he has managed to get some success in Minnesota. He has given Minnesota stability, continuity, a culture. We could have had that here, but we decided that the Twitter mob and the Facebook groups were gonna take over because that's what Nicky Budala used to do. He used to get his marching orders from people that just learned the sport last week, and we decided to fire the man, and we sent us in a rabbit hole. The thing about Jared Dillon that I would like to communicate with you guys is that the guy comes in basically 3.5 weeks before we start the season. The guy's living in Tampa. He's commuting to Orlando. And in when he did the focus groups based on the reaction that we had on Twitter, so you have to thank OC Twitter for that. He was finding out things that not even our owners knew that were happening, because nobody in our past regime bothered to ask the fans, especially the season ticket members, what their feelings were. And he said, "Hey, I have no power what happens on the pitch, but I'll try to help out with the other things." We all know that there was damaging decisions when it came to raising the prices of the tickets, when it came to decisions affecting the season ticket holders and all that. That has affected our attendance. Last Sunday, this is the cruelty of this game, Luis. 17,503 people came. This is the highest attendance that we've had,
Right, right, right.
beating the opening game of the season. So it's a tragedy that we lose. Now I can tell you this. I have spoken with people on my way to the car. I have spoken with people via DMs. A lot of people were excited, even though we lost, even though we didn't score a goal. They are excited. They came because they saw what happened Wednesday, which we haven't talked about, Luis. They saw a reaction. They wanted to see. The casuals are coming back, my friends. The casuals are coming back, and they want to see this team win. So we have to stand behind our club. Like I said, don't let this defeat get to you.
Right, right, right.
This Saturday night, bring friends, pack the car, go to explore, and let's just go have a good time, and let's do it all over again. The beauty of the calendar is there's one day after the other. So
And
um and with this, Luis, I would like to talk about what happened Wednesday. I think it was a beautiful night of football. It was the point where the fans that came during the MLS era sort of got to relive for one night what USL used to be. I think Rowdies came in with a team that gave us a run for our money. They were very dangerous. They almost got away with it. Had they capitalized on that first half where they dominated completely, but I think it was good for us to bookend that era, like I had said in the episode of last week. To me, the night proved that we are miles ahead of what the Rowdies are. We have left them in the dust. We are making them too relevant, in my opinion. They play in a baseball field. We have a state of the art stadium that has been copied over and over and over and over throughout North America. We have in our roster players that have played in the World Cup, in the high stakes uh, events of Europe and South America. I mean, at this point, Rowdies are what they are. They're a minor league team, and they're not even dignified to carry our gym back. So for me, that rivalry is done because a rivalry implies equality of levels, and this is not it. There's no pro relegation in the United States. There's no way the Rowdies will ever get into MLS. So that's it, my friends. We need to leave them. That's why at Sunday, when I hear this Rowdy singing, it's we need to definitely put that in the past. We need to start singing about Atlanta, about Miami, about the clubs that are relevant. And with this, I finish, please. It like I said, it was a great night for us to relive our history, see where we came from and where we're going. But my friends, we cannot move forward if we are constantly looking at the rear view mirror, and that's what we're doing when we are making a team like this relevant in our chanting, relevant in our history. And I know there was a lot of animosity. I know there was a lot of animosity from the fans. Like I said, at the end of that game, you would have thought people wanted to eat their own children. They were so pumped up. Um, my image of the whole thing is we need to encapsulate that energy and move forward in the tournament, obviously, and in the league. This is just a bump on the road, and we just gotta eliminate that and just move forward. 8,500 people went to Exploria on a Wednesday night. I know it was a big sacrifice for a lot of people, including myself. If you work, to just go home, shove something down your throat, put some clothes, and head downtown. And we hope that on the next game, the next Open Cup game, that the fans go to support our club as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game for sure, and again, you know, uh, I see it. The rivalry still continues, in my opinion. I mean, whether we still have a 7-0 streak like the Undertaker, we're getting close to that 21-0, but I mean, we have a 7-0 streak against the Rowdies. This is something that is going to be carried on. Our kids are going to have to deal with at some point as well. So because like I said, as somebody that grew up in Orlando, and I know for sure. I mean, I can speak for me only. You always want to be Tampa. If you're in Orlando high school, you always wanted to be the Tampa high school in any sport, because they get the Lightning, the Bucks. They get all that big market, right? They call themselves the big market of Florida, right? And so coming and ruining their party and having this streak speaks volumes, right? And it tells you that right now the soccer city in Florida is Orlando, and I think a lot of people need to be super proud of that. I think, and this is thanks to the club, because if the club would have not come to Orlando, I would have seen a lot of the same people that are probably, with their, I don't know, Orlando Predators jerseys, or I don't know, indoor football. You know what I mean? So, it's great in my opinion. Okay, let's do some comments here. This is Victor Rivera. The all inclusive price for the Open Cup is great, well worth it. People showed up on a Wednesday night, and but if it would have been played in Osceola, it would have looked packed. If you think of it, just to throw it out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Jared Daun, or Dawn, Jared Dawn. Thanks for doing the show. No, thank you, Jared. My pleasure. Jared Dawn says, what moves would you like to see OCSC make this summer transfer window? Oh, this is a great question.
The
Why don't
great
you
question.
Go first, Dave, and then I'll go and answer after that.
Gonzalez replacement. That's and I know we keep teasing you. I wanna finish this before we go into that. But we definitely the injury has thrown a monkey wrench in our engine. We were getting a beast of a winger that we are not getting now until next year. So we definitely need to before the window's closing, trying to find a stopgap player that can serve us well. Mind you, we paid $3 million for Gaston, who's not gonna play until next year. And I am one that believes that we need to have competition at right back and left back, and we also have to have competition at striker. Even though Kara has scored goals and things like that, we can't let people be comfortable. In my opinion, we have to have people pushing everybody all at the same time. If we wanna lift silverware. So as of right now, I would like to see personally. I would like to see Freeman, Rivera, and Lynn sent to USL Championship teams. My opinion, I don't think they're. I think they're above the quality that OCB can offer. Right now, I am not impressed with MLS Next. The quality there, I gotta be quite honest with you. It's very complacent. Everybody's basically at the same level. It's not pushing those players to do better. In my opinion, is we should send them to a team where winning is everything because there's no first team. There's winning is now. I think it will challenge them, and I'm gonna go further. I'm gonna go even further. We have two great clubs in USL Championship in this state: Tampa Bay Rowdies and Miami. We can definitely send some of those players on loan to Tampa Bay Rowdies, and I know some of you are throwing up, ripping your clothes right now, burning the computer. But we gotta think about ourselves right now, not rivalries of the past. We need to find our players competitive teams, and let's not make it hard on them. They can stay in Florida near us, but definitely we need to put them in a more competitive environment. Wilfredo Rivera, in my opinion, is a tricky number 10 that has seen international play already with Puerto Rico, with the first team, by the way, with the first team, which is basically a bunch of MLS players and USL players. And Puerto Rico is not a world beater, but in the Caribbean, they are one of the best teams. That's fact. So in my opinion, that's what I would like to see. And also, maybe this summer we may have to say goodbye to some people. We're gonna have to trade some people. I personally think that some of the guys that we got on the super draft that have gone to OCB are not worthy of a spot. I'm sad to say the era of the Daryl DKs and the Kyle Aarons, it's over for us. We are no longer bad enough that we're picking the best of the crop in this draft. We are actually getting players that are okay, but we need to look forward. And to be honest with you, I am disappointed that some of our loanees go into OCB and some of our picks from the last two drafts because they are not giving us anything. And I'm gonna go even further because you guys know that we are not cheerleaders. We don't. We're not married to anybody. We are not. We don't carry nobody's baggage. I personally think that Oscar Pareja's son has no business in OCB. I just don't see quality there. I'm sorry to say this is nepotism to the 25th power. He is not an MLS player. He is not, and he's there because of his dad. And I'm gonna say it, okay? And I know that they listen to us at the club, and there's a lot of good people that I love and that I respect. But that's those are facts. I'm sorry, they're bad. No, 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 no. If we're gonna have a reserves team, these guys have to be hot and ready. What we're doing with Moises Tablante, in my opinion, is a crime. This guy, and I'm gonna say it because I had a source that told me that before this year, Sporting Kansas City and Miami had an interest on this kid. Atlanta United had an interest on this kid. Out of loyalty, this guy stayed with Orlando City. And the only thing that is stopping him from going to the first team is the fact that he is not a citizen. He will need an international spot or for Orlando City to pay for him to get a green card. Therefore, we can use the reserve team to stock players until we find them acceptable to be brought on or to be let go. And we can bring players that we have no use for, that are only there because they are the coach's son. You guys wanted me to get real? That's what it is.
Well, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I, I, I in a way agree and don't agree with you. Um, you know, MLS Next Pro. It's his first year in its inception. The play, it's not going to be what we've seen from USL. It's not yet on that level, but these are kids that I mean, I've been to every single OCB game so far, and I can say that they play with their hearts out, and you know it's funny because OCB is the sparing is a sparing partner. So it's the team that plays in sometimes in training grounds for Orlando City. They play against the first team all the time, right? And so not only Oscar, but also some of his staff oversees those kids and monitors them and things like that. They're there, but also you have to understand the first team is there to compete in the highest level possible, which is the MLS, right? So I understand the talent that Tablante has, that Wilfredo Rivera has. I understand, but the fans are also and the club needs to also win, right? And in order for them to join and them being our franchise players or our international players, let's say, even though Rivera is American citizen, but you know, you his their time is gonna come. I know for a fact, and but there's a process to everything. In my opinion, there's a process to everything, and at the moment, I think we need to trust it. Trust the process for now. You know, and see where it takes us. Right. I think right now OCB, yeah, they lost a couple games. But they still, like yesterday's performance, for example, play with their hearts out and beat a really good, New England team in penalties and everything. And it was a great performance by OCB. Those kids, and Pereira said it well. He said in the post press conference against New York, he said, those kids, we know those kids, and we know those kids are going to get to what Thomas, like what Thomas is doing right now, which is playing with the first level team. But it's a process, and eventually we have now OCB. They've gotten two players that are very exciting, and they actually played against New England, and they, in my opinion, they did great. Which is Victor Yan from Santos, and then you have Nicer Acosta from Independiente del Valle, which they are going to only get better. And also, they could maybe be called up for the first team as well because they already know what it takes to win. Nicer Acosta comes from winning a championship in Ecuador, Copa Libertadores, the Libertadores as under 20. And then Victor Yan has also trained with the first team of Santos many times, has also had some minutes with the first team while in Santos. So, and talking to some of my friends from Brazil, they're journalists that are Santistas as well. They're like, Victor Yan is a great prospect. I think Orlando won the lotto there because he's a great player. So, we'll see. What I would change out of this team, just to answer what Jared said real quick, left back and a right back for sure, and a striker. I think that's what I would change. And also, yeah, maybe look into our bench and see maybe what can we get for another player or but right now I think we're gonna ride with OCB and we're gonna ride with this team till the end of the season, unless there's any a surprise that we don't know about due to the fact that Gaston Gonzalez it's injured, right, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was taking some notes here. Yeah, well, as you all know, we had Nachito Sanchez, beat writer for Union de Santa Fe. The guy, it's in every platform, every media, radio, podcasting. What the guy's a multifaceted journalist. He lives for that club. Right now, he's in Brazil with the team as they are playing Sudamericana. And one of the things that you guys did not get to hear was before we started recording. He's like, "Hey, tomorrow after the game that is supposed to be Facundo's last, I'm gonna ask him to say something like, "Hey guys, listen to Loud and Proud Orlando" or something like that." We're like, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna do that." And my friends, 70th minute, down 2 goals, 2-0. The guy blows his left knee going after a ball that was gonna run out of the pitch for a goal kick. Weird for those that have seen the video. It's super weird that happened. Technically, that was his last game. He was just gonna call it a day. Um, I spoke with Nachito, and basically, this is what we know. And you guys are seeing the picture of what happened that day. Which this was last Tuesday. The fact is that he's an Orlando City player. It was all said and done. Right now, both clubs and the representatives for the player are working out the details. Obviously, he's not going to be playing this year. Obviously, Union was expecting some money out of Orlando City. So that's the restructuring of the deal and how they're gonna get paid. The other thing that they have to work out is if the player's gonna have surgery in Argentina or here in Florida. Is he gonna rehab in Argentina or here in Florida? Uh, the fact is that this was a life changing opportunity for a guy that I've sort of gotten to know watching him play through third parties that know the individual, listening to his dad talk about the whole thing. His dad is a mailman. Because of this, he is known all over the city. The city is basically split among two teams, Colón and Unión. And even the Colón fans really like the guy. They just see him as one, a guy from one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. And they were wishing him well. And a situation like this happened. I reached out to a source and I basically said, "Hey, devastating this thing with Gonzalez." He said, "Devastating." And when I asked this source what was going to happen with the situation, and that I wish that this was another path of redemption story, this person responded, "We're gonna do what's the right thing to do, and we'll be good." So that's a response from a source close to the club. Um, the I'm gonna have a reporter, not Nachito, another source that I've been using out of Santa Fe. She's gonna be with us at Tiro de Esquina this week. It's gonna be like a short like informative thing. If there's anything of importance, I will bring it up to this show, obviously. And basically, that's the situation. What's going on over there with this player? He's an Orlando City player. ACL tear on the left knee. That's basically the the diagnosis of what's going on, a tragedy altogether. If you ask me, so I've been watching so much Union, I think that the team, because they are so desperate for money, they are playing in three tournaments at the same time. They are trying to bring revenue. They just overplayed him, in my opinion. If down 2 goals, you know that you're not gonna win. They should have pulled him, in my opinion. But the fact is that this guy, like, he gives everything he's got, and he played like this was what it was. It was an important tournament, and in the process, he ends up hurting himself, not the club. Obviously, Union already recalled somebody from the reserves, and they're good to go for Brazil. But the individual,
Right.
Gaston Gonzalez, is the guy that ends up holding the crappy end of the stick in this situation.
Yeah, I'm sure the club will make the best decision possible, regarding that. The time's ticking though, because if they decided they're not going to continue with him, I think they have like 7 days, or like, I think now it's like 7 or 8 days left in the window. So, I highly doubt in that amount of time a suitable replacement is going to come unless there's a trade that we don't know, like a Yassi Sardes trade. You know, um, those are things that the club, I'm sure, is also taking a look. I mean, I'm sure they'll make the best decision possible. Let's read some comments here. Jeffrey Ordaz says, "Buen show, hermanos." It says, "Good show, brothers. There's need to be accountability for the player's performance." No, I agree. I mean, people are entitled to be upset out of this performance, and then I know that the players know about it. You can tell about how they walked into the post press conference. I mean, they didn't really want to be there, to be honest with you. But Mauricio Pereira being Mauricio Pereira, being the captain of the team, he was, he showed up and responded every single question that the press asked, and they said, we're going to move forward and we're going to try to win against Charlotte, right? So, but I do agree that I think enough has been said already, right, about the performance, and but it's just one game too, and it hurts to lose at home, but what else can we do? We cannot go back in time and go get in the Trunks time machine and then fight Cell, right? Can't do that. Jesus Gamundi says here, I'm gonna translate it. Says I go to almost every game that every single game that the team plays away, and honestly, it's a pity. The games in Orlando are a pity, are pitiful, essentially, right? And then he says, don't be afraid of talking bad about the front office. If not, things are not going to get fixed. No one is going to take your press pass to go to the games. um, no, no, no. In my opinion, I disagree with that. In my opinion, and this is not because of the club. It's just because I've lived in Orlando for the longest time, and we're not a winning city. I mean, to be honest with you, um, and this is the best thing that has happened for the city of Orlando, Orlando City, and Orlando Pride, and now OCB, right? So, you know, and it has such a, it's bringing soccer into a city that nobody really thought soccer was going to be the sport that was going to stick, and it did. So, and again, I base my judgment on people based on my own experiences. So, and every single person, from the person that opens the gate, from the interns, from the people that the gentleman in security, that checks my bag, from the people in the stands, the people that are cleaning, every single person has treated me with the utmost respect. And if they are that way and they behave themselves that way, I really, um, I think things are happening. Maybe not at the pace that somebody that is just strictly watching the game wants it to be, right? But things are happening nonetheless, and I have nothing but faith, you know. And let's see what happens. Maybe I'll be the fool, right? But at least let me have that opportunity to be the fool and believe, right? So it says here, Oscar Andres Perucho. He must be Peruvian. How you doing, my friend? Hola, ¿cómo estás, hermano? It was a good feeling beating Rowdies, but keep in mind, there were no shots on goal for 90 minutes last game. 3 shots on target. We can beat the Red Bulls for the past 3 years at home. No, of course. I agree. I mean, right? I mean, we've talked about it already, right? I think it's time to turn the page on this game and focus on the next one.
Absolutely.
And I think that
Let's use the one at Red Bulls Arena as a gauge to see
right,
if there
right.
has been growth.
And another thing I want to say is, we're playing against a team like it's Charlotte that has a lot of good players, and not only have a good players, but they've sold out their stadium. I know that they're a brand new team in town, so obviously the soccer dome is like booming, right? Just like it was with Orlando when Orlando first started. But you know, let's I think it's you guys' responsibility, also, and the fans' responsibility to pack it up. We're Orlando City, right? We're the city of Orlando. We're Central Florida. This is my stadium. That's what brings a culture, right? To put an example for Oscar Andres Perucho, he probably understand. I don't know what team he supports in Peru, but Alianza Lima, one of the most popular teams in Peru. Alianza Lima packs its stadium, whether it's a Wednesday game or it's a Sunday game at 3 o'clock. And they have one of the worst records in Copa Libertadores in history. They haven't won a game in Copa Libertadores in years, but they packed the stadium. So so to get to that point, it takes these are people that go to the stadium, like their grandparents have gone to the stadium, and their grandparents have gone to the stadium. So it's passed on, right? we're building something really cool here in this city, and it's gonna get to that level. And then in 10 years, we're gonna be like, yo, you know, we've experienced the World Cup, we've experienced Copa America, we've experienced CONCACAF Champions League final here, right? We're gonna be talking about all these things because Orlando's gonna be a cool city that people come support, and it's gonna gain interest from the big markets, right? And then eventually Orlando will become a big market, and there's gonna be no turning back. Jared Dunn, uh, yes, Gaston replacement. Love having Pato, but is his position right wing? Would love to have him more central as a false nine, helping control the middle with our captain. What are your thoughts, Dave, regarding that?
I'm sorry. Somebody that is listening to our show uh, was uh, was 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 telling me to take it easy on my opinions about OCV. But anyhow, I think at this point, honestly, the decisions are on our front office, on our Luis Musi and Oscar Pareja and Ricardo Moreira on how we need to go about replacements and decisions. Like Luis said, we have a window that is closing May 5th. It is what, April 25th, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So time's ticking, and we have to have at least a stopgap decision. I think we have done very well in the past. If you guys remember, Emmanuel Mas was that type of signing. It was just, we just needed somebody here, and he was a serviceable player, but he wasn't in the big plans into the future. Um, I personally think we can trade Joey Desart for a serviceable player and throw some Garber bucks in the mix, and get somebody that can be that type of player. Whoever we bring this window, I think it's going to be an internal trade within the league. It's what makes sense. There's teams that are desperate to offload money. I don't know if Miami will do us any favors, but they definitely want to skim the milk off the top, because obviously they have issues and situations thanks to the fines that they have received. Right now, there might be a team out west that has a player that needs minutes, and probably we can get a loan knee like that. To be quite honest, it will be speculative to say anything right now, because the situation is just a cold shower. A week ago, we were talking about this guy coming in, and they already had a plan, and they had all these other things on the table, and they definitely were not expecting this situation to happen. So I'm gonna limit my comment at saying that there's three gentlemen that know more football than myself, that work directly for the team, and that they are obviously going to find a solution for us, at least for the time being.
Jared, I think Pato can play the right wing for sure. He's done it in Milan. He's done it in several places. He can play the wing. He can play as a nine. He can play as a 10. So he can play all the positions in attack. So right now, for I can see in the system of Orlando City, he is being used as a straight nine and as a right winger, which he's been, in my opinion, he's had a pretty good game since he started doing preseason, as if he was fully recovered from his injury. And that's a praise not only on Oscar Pareja, which again he revitalized Nani's career, in my opinion, and he's doing the same with Alexandre Pato. In my opinion, that's what he's doing. And and it's not just Oscar; it's his staff. The physios, everybody that works within the club. And so, I mean, I think he could play the right wing for sure. He's shown it already. Taylor, cool. What do we do with Mendes? He's too good to sit on the bench. I agree.
Well, his
I mean,
contract expires in the summer. We haven't heard anything.
we have depth. We have depth, and I think Mendes. You know, I hope he's able to stay in the team. I mean, I think he's a hell of a player. He's a selección ecuatoriana, tricolor. He's plays a high level for his national team, so he's gonna go to the World Cup, and I think we also have Alexander Alvarado. He's on loan at LDU.
Yes, and he's doing very well in Ecuador, as a matter
Liga,
of fact.
Liga Deportiva Universitaria. Si está viendo Alexander, un abrazo, hermano. Muy, muy bien que te está yendo muy bien. Entonces, I'm saying hi to my friend, and I'm glad that to see you do great in Ecuador. It says Oscar Andres Perucho. Guadalupe will be a good fit as a center back. Yeah, he has a lot of potential, for sure. A
Mhm.
lot of
Yeah, he's
potential.
with the U.S. under
Under 20.
18,
Un-
under 20s,
Under 20, yeah. And I
under
think
20.
that's a great accomplishment. Good for him.
Absolutely.
Good for him. Jim D, I really hope we're not losing Ruan. Again, another match where his confidence looks gone. Does not try to take on players, refuses to crosses the ball, does no go it to the end line and cut it back. I mean, honestly, I think it was just bad game. Everybody played bad.
Even
Yeah,
Kingston.
everyone. I mean, I think it was just a lackluster performance overall, and I think Rowan he's a great human being, and a great he's had play, he's had games, and you guys cannot lie about this too either. That a lot of fans have said, "Oh my God, Ruan, he ate the wing, he ate the right flank, he schooled everybody," and then that's another conversation we can have about Ruan, right? So I mean, I think he's playing for Orlando City, and I think he'll be fine for the next game, I'm sure. Says Taylor Cool, Moutinho has to go. He cost them that first goal. I mean, Moutinho has been the most consistent. I mean, Moutinho, um, this preseason and then this season, he's been playing very well, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I don't know what Dave thinks,
I mean,
but
he has
but
scored goals.
yeah,
He has some assists. At the end of the day, Moutinho is a sporting, uh,
Lisboa.
yeah, Lisboa product. He is an NCAA champion. He is the first draft, the first choice in the super draft. He's a good player. Um, I mean, he like I said again. I personally, there's nothing good to be said about Sunday. It was
No,
just a,
there's really nothing good
it
to
was bad.
say.
There's nothing.
Uh,
Absolutely nothing from the get go, from second one. Uh, I mean,
A ver, Taylor Cool. Okay, we already read that. It says Victor Rivera. Rodrigo is good, but when Carlos is there, it seems like a totally different
oh,
ball game.
absolutely.
For
That's
sure.
Antonio Carlos is superb.
Antonio Carlos has played Libertadores, has played high level. Has played the Brazilian Brasileirao. And so I mean, he's a player that definitely, and just his and Rodrigo is a great player too. I mean, Rodriguez had great games. I mean,
Rodrigo came to us with
yeah,
3 games in Primera División, in first division in Argentina. So
exactly.
he's still a guy that is just learning his ways.
Yeah, but not only that, but I think I mean, Antonio got that injury, and then Rodrigo has had some games that have been
Two clean sheets immediately.
more than acceptable. I mean, he's playing a good,
Yeah.
solid level.
But if you give me the choice, Antonio Carlos,
Of course,
obviously.
of course. Says Alianza Lima for life. Good, good. Yo también soy hincha grande. Un saludo, ¿ah? Jared Dawn, it says, didn't know he played right wing. Thanks for that insight. Love having him out there. Hopefully he'll keep progressing. Comeback player of the year. Hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely,
He's a great.
absolutely.
He's
And
a great
Gaston
player.
Gonzalez next year.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and you imagine that those wings. I
Oof,
mean, that's gonna be
I
really
know, I
dangerous.
know.
Victor Rivera not having, yeah, we already read that. Thank you so much. OC Fan TV, how you doing, guys? Glad that you guys are seeing the show. Joe has been Joe has been decent recently. Possibly one of the better players on the pitch yesterday. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, for sure. He came in and changed the pace of the game, right? And that's why Oscar brought him in, to try to get plays within in the left wing, and try to spark, because Orlando plays off their wings very well when they won. I mean, that Columbus performance, so look, night and day, right? The Columbus game. And then, you watch this, right? So it's just that New York did everything to contain Orlando's wings by doing the hard press, by playing
Mm-hmm.
overly physical, and they don't have like a major. They don't have an Austrian striker that scored 14 goals when he played in the Austrian Superliga. They don't have Alexandre Pato has played in some of the biggest clubs in the world. Facundo Torres, one of the biggest prospects in South America, probably right now the future of the Uruguayan national team.
Just gotta tip
You know,
your hat. You
right?
say great
So
job.
it was just a great game for them, and
That's it.
I think Orlando's going to learn. So moving on, what's next, right? And it is Charlotte. Charlotte is next.
The new boys in the league, they have some hot and cold moments. Like you said, they remind me of who we were in 2015. Big NFL stadium, packed to the gills, all the excitement, rah 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 rah. Charlotte has been a city that back in the USL era, the Charlotte Independence and the Charlotte Eagles were teams that we battle against. As a matter of fact, it was the Charlotte Eagles who we battled for the 2013 USL Championship, in which Dom Dwyer, Mr. Score what he wants to, except in MLS, scored 4 goals, and it was a night to remember. When I feel a little low, my friends, I actually go back to watch that game on YouTube. I recommend you do that. And well, what has Charlotte been up to? This past week, they had a 0-0 result against Colorado as a visiting team uh, over the Open Cup window. They went to Greenville, South Carolina, and manhandle the Greenville FC 2-1. Greenville is a USL League One team, third division here in the United States for those folks watching us outside of the country. And they went and they got a result against a team that had no business defeating them. Although I have to say Real Salt Lake lost to a team, an expansion USL League One team with 4 games in their history. So Justin Mayhem, who went online to try to make fun of us because we lost against Red Bulls, needs to look into what he's doing instead of trying to get the Atlanta fans who were too salty because they lost to Miami. But I digress.
Yeah.
So they're coming to us, Luis, a team that, like you said, that is dangerous. It's a team that plays a style like Red Bulls. There's a nice mix of very young, talented individuals with a lot of experience, not only in MLS but in other teams. They unfortunately for Charlotte, some of their prospective DPs that they wanted did not pan out. One of the players they wanted to bring was actually a player from Austria. Blew his ankle right before they were about to sign him. So similar story to the situation with Gaston Gonzalez. Again, football is cruel and unpredictable. And we all know their manager got caught with a hot mic saying, the translation is "we are screwed," but also that speak Spanish know that the word that he used rhymes with trucked. So the fact is that they are doing a lot with what they have. And it's up to us to rebound. And the way you rebound is you grab an expansion team and you smash them. Personally, this is a team that coming into the league have high ambitions. Their ownership said, "Hey, we're coming to be the next Atlanta. We're coming to defeat Atlanta." They want a rivalry with Atlanta. I'll gladly give them the rivalry, because it makes more sense to me that those teams, which are two cities, are closer to states that that share a border, and again, we need to, as fans, we need to show with the same intensity, and hopefully the boys will use this experience that just happened as a learning lesson, and then we'll see at 7:30 on Saturday a different team than the one that we saw this past weekend.
Yeah, and I want to add into this for sure. I want to start by saying this is a team that is a very, to me, is one of the very interesting teams in the league, in my opinion. I know a lot of the players. I've seen them play in this team. Their midfield, to me, is it's superb. I mean, Alcibar played high level LDU from Ecuador, one of the biggest teams in Ecuador, where right now Alexander Alvarado is playing on loan. One of the top teams in Ecuador, high level, has played Copa Libertadores, has won cups, you know, knows what it takes to win and to create an attacking play from the get go. You have Titi Ortiz, Christian Ortiz. He's played in Peru. He played in Sporting Cristal, was a champion there. He has played, and he also was one of the high scorers that year in the Peruvian league. He's played as a 10 and also could play as a left winger. Very dangerous, set piece galore. He scored a lot of goals in set piece throughout his career. Comes from Club Tijuana. I think he's somebody that we need to definitely take a look. He loves to play with people as gifted as him. And he's like a Mauricio Pereira, but he goes a little further into, he's more incisive in attack. And sometimes I've even seen him play one time as a false nine. So just saying. And then Alan Franco, right? That came from Atlético Mineiro, from Brazil, knows what it takes to win, playing a huge club over there in Brazil, and came to the MLS to prove himself and win cups, right? And those are players. This is their mid. He's won Alan Franco Copa Sudamericana. Just to say, just one player has won Copa Sudamericana. He's won the Brazilian Cup, and he's won El Brasileirao, which is the Brazilian champion. So he has 3 cups, just himself. So he's a highly decorated player. I know that maybe the last name doesn't sound like a Messi, like a Neymar, like a Ronaldo, but these 3 right here in the mid are very dangerous. So our backline needs to be spot on to contain these 3. Um, when it comes to the attack, they have obviously Jordi Reina from Peru. He's played in Red Bull Salzburg. He played in Vancouver. He's played in the MLS already for a long time, and he's played in the Peruvian national team. He's not a starter in the Peruvian national team, and he's very injury prone. Just to say, I don't see him as a starter, but if he starts, he loves to play on either wing, or just being a false nine, or just a top striker. And his gift is the assisting. So he's the type of player that on the 1v1, he's going to try to look for a spot, and instead of him going for the goal, he's going to try to assist it to another player, and that player is going to score. So um, that's the type of player that Jordi Reina is. And then to me, the most, I think, praise is their coach, Miguel Angel Ramirez. To me, very exciting coach. Very exciting coach. Won Copa Sudamericana with Independiente del Valle. He knows what it takes to win. He knows how to build a squad. He wants to come to the MLS to, like Dave was saying, bring Charlotte a trophy within the next 5 years of inception, and that's what they're trying to do. And I think tactically, he's a very savvy coach. Tactically, he knows he's been known to change systems in the middle of the game. Usually, you wait till halftime, you change your system if something's not working. He has done it within the game like 3 or 4 times. Like he's that type of player. Well, that type of coach, and he's a good motivator in the locker room and things like that. Something that Pareja is also the same. So it's going to be a good matchup coaching wise, in my opinion. I'm really curious to see who's going to win the duel, of the coaching duel, right? And they also have interesting players that you probably have heard, Dave. Christian Macoun. He played in Inter Miami last season. Venezuelan international. He's plays the center back. Joseph Mora, he played left back in DC United, Costa Rican international. And Harrison Aful from Senegal, right? And he played in Columbus Crew as a right back. So these are players that are very fast on the wings. So Ruan and Joao are gonna have a big task against this team. So that's my assessment on what's coming for Charlotte.
Well, I'm not gonna add anything to that. I think it was precise, judging by the time. Obviously, we gotta wrap it up. So all I'm gonna say is, please show up this next weekend, Saturday 7:30 at Exploria. Let's support the boys against Charlotte. Before I go, I would like to let people know that the tickets for our next Open Cup game, which is against Philadelphia Union, this is going to be May 10th, Tuesday, May 10th at 7 p.m., are already on sale. $10 for season ticket holders, $15 general admission. So let's go support the boys once again. Also, I would like to say my hometown club, Bayamon FC, this past weekend won the Caribbean Shield tournament, defeating a team out of Suriname. So I'm super excited about that because I know a lot of childhood friends who work for the team or whose sons play for the club. So I'm very excited about that, and felicitaciones a ellos. Also, my team, English team Stevenage, secured a place in the EFL for another season, edging Oldham Athletic. For all of you that love to preach pro relegation, who's Oldham Athletic? It's a team founded in 1995 that has been in the EFL since, and my friends, is a founding member of the Premier League and is finding itself in non-league next year. A tragedy, but my team survived. So congrats to the Tricky Reds of England. And also, July 23rd, Florida Cup. Orlando City is going to have a friendly, or part of the Florida Cup tournament against Arsenal. I know a lot of Arsenal fans are super excited about this. So that's going to be happening. Last, my vlog, The Legendary David on YouTube, has videos of the game against Rowdies and the game against Red Bulls. So if you would like to see more of me and see more of my point of view of these games, Legendary David, please go support me. Thumbs up, subscription, just like you should do that here at LPO_podcast. And lastly, as always, you can find me on Twitter, Florida_man76. Since now Twitter has new ownership, I expect to be buck wild.
Well, I want to thank everybody that joined us today, everybody listening to us as well on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much. We are a lot of Proud Orlando. Follow us on Twitter as LPO_podcast. So I want to kind of say a little thing about Twitter. So I was posting a lot of the stuff for LPO, and now everything Orlando related that it's essentially informational is going to come strictly from the LPO account moving forward, like the videos, the recaps, the articles. And my account, it will be my account again. So essentially my thoughts, a poll here and there, what I'm feeling about this game, and so you can add me at Pineda_RL, but for all the info about Orlando City, Orlando Pride, OCB, which we didn't get to talk about OCB or Orlando Pride, but we will in the next episode. But follow at LPO_podcast. We're on Facebook as well as Loud and Proud Orlando. And also follow us on YouTube. Click on the subscription notification bell for all notifications, so you know when the show is live. And then I actually want to give a shout out to the fan base also, because there were some fans that created this discussion group, and I want to give them praise. It's called the Orlando City SC Discussion Group. The first one got hacked by by scammers, and these fans took the initiative to create a new one, and it's actually sparking really good discussions. And I told them, I'm gonna show our people, your group, and so people could join, right? Like Treble Plumber, he's one of the admins, and so like right now, they're letting us post our show, right? And there's a lot of good discussion brewing, right? Without any, you know, oh, I know more soccer than you type of thing, right? So it's really cool. And so I just want to kind of pitch them and tell them to join. We also have our own group. This is strictly for LPO members too, called the Orlando City Informed Discussion Group. So you can subscribe to that also. But join this group for sure. And on that note, there's a lot of Orlando City outlets and a lot of Orlando City groups. I personally have joined a lot of the groups, obviously because of Loud and Proud. We need to promote not only our pieces, we need to also want to spark discussion on our articles that we're writing and our editorials. And we joined this group here, right here, right, and unfortunately, they are not friendly to they're not friendly to journalists or to podcasts, and I'm kind of taken aback by it. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but you know, um, I don't know. It's sad. So therefore, because of that reason, again, um, this is the group. This is the group. So far, 422 members. Ours, I think, the LPO one has like 300 because it's netly informative, But this one, you'll see a lot of memes and things like that. What people like. So go check it out. And to all the groups, we're not trying here to spam your group around. We're not scammers. Our goal is to put the best content possible for the city beautiful. And in our groups, and this is not the only outlet I work for. I work for a different outlet too. We create in freedom of expression, and we also create, believe in just doing this for the city, right? And when I get a notification saying, "Oh, you're not contributing to anything," I feel like I'm insulted because I try to contribute as much as I can to my city, and while we do here a lot, I'm proud we do it with a lot of love and a lot of passion, and we do it for the city beautiful, just like our slogan says. So um, thank you for the support, and again, we want to be part of the Facebook community, but those are things that I don't understand. Like, I mean, why is that? It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, moving on. Thank you so much for sticking around. We will be back next week, for more. So vamos Orlando, David, right?
Vamos, Orlando.
Take care, guys. Have a good one.